Hi, I'm sure many of you guys can remember receiving your first driver's license. You're required to fill out part of a form that asks you yes or no to being an organ donor. You could have chosen yes because you feel you don't need your organs after you pass, or you could have chosen no because you feel that's a violation of your body or maybe goes against your religion. You had very valid reasons for either side. However, the Health Resources and Service Administration should prioritize donors in organ allocation. Today, as I take you through my speech, I'm going to take you through what it's also like to get an organ transplant. The first part of that is receiving a call that an organ is available to you. My first point, now that we've received that phone call, is that the number of donors in the US is very low. The number of donors in the US is very low, but the number of people on a waiting list for a transplant is very high. In an article titled Organ Donation Statistics, published by Donate Life America, it states 110,000 men, women, and children are waiting for life-saving organ transplants. The number of people waiting for organ transplants heavily outweighs the number of available organs and donors. Furthermore, because there are such a difference in the ratio, it causes high mortality rates. Branston K. in 2006, in an article titled Is it Ethical to Prioritize Patients for Organ Allocation According to Their Values About Organ Donation, published by Progress in Transplantation, states, each year thousands of patients who are on the United Network for Organ Sharing Transplant waiting lists die, as the number of allografts that become available do not meet the demand. Essentially what this is saying is that there's a high mortality rate because of the large difference in the ratio of people needing organs and people that are able to donate organs and choose to donate organs. So now that we've received the call, the next step is discussing with our doctor whether this organ is right for us and how the options that we have for donating organs today do not work. We currently have an opt-in system, but people have suggested looking at an opt-out system. An opt-out system would mean that instead of choosing to consent to donating organs, you have to choose to remove your consent. In an article written by Sheriff A. in 2015 titled, It Will Take More Than an Opt-Out System to Increase Organ Donation, Prioritize Donors to Receive Organs, published by British Medical Journal, it states that changing to opt-out won't simply change this. Essentially what this means is that this system will not work, as it doesn't encourage people in a rewarding or incentive way. Heisen P. in August 29, 2017, in an article titled Should the Government Require Your Consent to Be an Organ Donor, published by Forbes, states, changing the default runs counter to standard Western views of individual autonomy over one's own body. Again, what this is saying is that an opt-out system will not work. People feel that this is a violation of their own body and their human rights. Instead of having to give consent, people have to opt out of their consent, which is against what they would like to do. With this, though, another point I want to make is that people are interested in donating, but simply won't make the act to donate, which is why our system doesn't work. On September 28, 2020, an article titled Organ Donation Statistics, published by Organ Donor, it states 90% of US adults support organ donation, but only 60% are actually signed up as donors. 30% of the people that are interested in donating organs simply do not act upon this desire. They don't have an incentive or a reason to fully act upon and change what they have. So now that we've received the phone call that we have an organ available and that there are low number of donors, and we've discussed with our doctor that this organ works, but our system that we currently have for organ donation does not work, we're going to transplant the organs to the hospital and discuss why the HRSA needs to reform organ allocation. The best way to do this is on a reward system. This means that if you choose to be a donor, you would get a reward in some way. This way would be that you would be moved to the top of it, if you were needing an organ, to the top of a waiting list above people that are not donors. Dan Harper G. in 2011 an article titled Priority to Registered Donors on the Waiting List for Post-Mortal Organs, a critical look at the objections, published by Journal of Medical Ethics, states that people who benefit from the scheme also take on fair share of the burdens. And it goes on to say that a scheme of cooperation for mutual advantage in which good is being produced by the contributions of a number of people. This means that altogether people will be benefiting. You'd be giving what you'd be getting out. If you choose to become a donor, you would have the guarantee that you would be above other people that are not donors and have a better chance of receiving an organ if you were to need one. This would make people have an incentive. On January 15, 2004, in an article titled Those Who Sign Donor Cards Should Get Organs First, published by Charleston Daily Mail, it states the existence of this pool gives other people an incentive to sign donor cards and join the network. Essentially what this means is that people have a reason to join now. The 30% of people that I mentioned earlier in the statistic that did not take that desire and become donors now have a reason to. They have more of a push to become a donor as they have a reward at the end. So now that we've discussed why the HRSA needs to reform organ allocation, and we've had the organs transport, they're now at the hospital, I'm about to have my surgery, we're going to discuss why this plan works. The first part is that the number of organs will grow. The rate at which we receive organs will also grow. On January 15th, January 15th, 2004, in an article titled Those Who Sign Donor Cards Should Get Organs First, published by Charleston Daily Mail, it states, this incentive grows stronger as the network expands. There's a website called lifesharing.com that is putting this idea in place currently. It's a website of people that sign up for these donations in order to receive donations of organs. Lastly, by default, people will receive more organs. Since there will be an increase in the number of organs and donors available, the number and risk of mortality will decrease. So as we leave surgery and I'm going to live a long, happy life, and we know that this plan will work, just remember that there is a low number of donors, the current options we have do not work, and the HRSA needs to reform in order to resolve these issues. That is why the Health Resources and Services Administration should prioritize donors in organ allocation. The next time you go to re-up your license, I hope that you choose to become a donor too. Thank you.